because we are switching between Zooms. And if you know somebody who is interested in meditation and who wants to hear some important things from Bill with his 3-year retreat experience, you can still drop a link and people can come
Sounds pretty good.
And participate. Okay, let me see. So we are doing today the second half of the final exam, because you were busy at that time and I did the first part without you.
Okay.
Then I was thinking that the 9 stages of meditation will be much more will be better with you. Better with you. Лучше с тобой. Oh, you need your computer. Okay. But we can have it here also now. Wait, Bill will finish fixing my table.
There we go.
Okay.
Okay.
We have somebody who did a crime.
Did I open the windows? Is that a crime? Yeah, put a strip pick.
Because I closed the windows because then the light is better.
Is it too much?
Yeah, I will do it.
Hello. How many people do we have here? 27. I think one of the interesting things about this class, yeah, that looks good. It is a little bright. One of the interesting things about this class is simply that meditation is possible, right? It's, at least when I was in university, it was unknown. And I remember, or almost unknown. And so I was taking like one of the few Buddhist classes in the nation. And they talked about shaman. It was like this weird mystical thing. Like, really? Is that really possible? Yeah, it's possible. And it's not weird and it's not mystical. It's just what happens when you train your mind. And we generally don't intentionally train our mind. And so, there's these 9 levels you go through, and you can dramatically increase your mental function, your ability to focus, your ability to analyze problems once you've focused on them. And I think also what happens, and this is just a general conversation, people, if they're living an ordinary life, right? If you're busy with your job, if you're not getting good sleep, if you've got young kids at home, if you have to travel a lot, all of that is going to upset your mind. Are people hearing this?
No, I just can see that a Ukrainian translator probably has cannot speak probably. Yep. Okay, there is they translate. Okay, good.
Okay, so what happens for people, like if you're living a pretty ordinary life, right, with ups and downs and your meditation's irregular or disturbed, if you're going through big crises in your life, divorce, war,
can be challenging.
People, even if you're regular, frankly, you're going to struggle to simply get to stage 4, where your mind is continuously focused on the object. And and so then people start wondering, it's pretty common, frankly, for people living in the normal world to get stuck at level 4. Regular meditators.
Yeah, we didn't cover the 9 levels yet. This is
well, we'll cover it in just a second.
Okay.
And the first 4 levels, you're simply trying to keep your mind on the object, right? Each one is level 1. I'm going to meditate, right? I'm going to start. Level 2, there's big gaps in your meditation. You're off the object more often than you're on it. Level 3, the gaps are getting smaller. You're on the object more often than you're off of it, but you still don't have consistent focus. Like if you're focusing on your breath, you'll wander off and start thinking about your job and totally lose your breath. By level 4, you're consistently on it. You won't lose the object. And so people, I mean, frankly, if in order to get past level 4, you have to be leading a pretty stable, quiet, happy life, which is why, as we go through it, I think you guys already covered it in the previous class, like the conditions for meditation, right?
We did.
Where, and they're not kidding, right? Some of the things are optional, right? Like you don't have to be able to sit in full lotus to meditate. That was fine for Tibetans and Indians who didn't sit in Western chairs. Maybe you could sit in full lotus. And if you're flexible enough, it's a nice, stable way to sit. 100% not necessary to reach shamatha to sit in full lotus. In fact, most Westerners, you're probably never going to sit in full lotus unless you spend years sitting on the floor. Other things are like absolutely critical, right? You have to live in a quiet place. If there are loud noises and police sirens and, things like that disturbing you. Buses, traffic, like train. Yeah, you're never going to be able to meditate in that place ever, and not effectively. And so, if you're having, they say keep your ethics, right? If you're having big problems, right? Going through a divorce, legal issues, financial drama, you're not going to be able to meditate well. You have to get those things under control first. And so it can seem difficult, right? Because people have these kind of problems. But it is possible. Like if you make the changes, if you do arrange your life so that you have quiet time, like undisturbed, good rest, an hour or 2 in the morning, quiet weekends, no drama in your life.
No ACI classes.
Well, no, ACI classes are fine, but I mean, you don't have to go into a 3-year retreat to be able to meditate either, right? It's a particularly conducive place to go because there's nothing else to do but meditate. But it's not necessary. There are lots of people in the outside world who have made whatever changes were necessary for them to be able to do it. I mean, I've known people who've lived in the biggest, busiest cities and were able to reach shamatha. So you can do it. And there's nothing really mystical about it. You just have to decide that you want to and to make the changes. And so I think that's the most important thing out of all these classes is that all these classes in this course is that it is possible to reach shamatha. If you're smart enough, frankly, if your mind is clear enough to want to attend this course, you've got the mental capacity to be able to reach shamatha. And realistically, how long? if you can meet the conditions, if you can live in a quiet place, if you can sleep regularly, if you decide to meditate regularly, and 2 years, I would say. Some people have said a year. I think if you have an aptitude for it, maybe a year like that, you could do it. I would say 2 years might be more.
No meditation, peaceful life. Oh, no retreat, out of retreat, peaceful life.
Yeah. Not going into a retreat, living a quiet, peaceful life without a whole lot of other obstacles. It doesn't mean your life has to be perfect, right? But and people end up living kind of a semi-retreat life when they're doing that. It would look different than a normal life, right? Like your phones are perfectly well designed to shatter your ability to focus. So it takes, I think that's why they say renunciation is the first step, is you've got to be willing to unplug from being busy in order to do it. And it's why we go through with people prior to this, the three things. First, you got to be healthy. Then you have to have money. And then it's helpful if you have a partner, frankly, if that's what you're, like if you're not being distracted by an absence of a partner or loneliness. But anyway, renunciation, you get your life in order, and then you can meditate. So
okay, let's start with the
so we did
questions.
So we did the first 4 levels, right?
No.
Oh, okay, I did them.
Yeah, not officially.
Okay, so do you want to name the names in Tibetan?
So the first one is Sam Jokpa. I think we don't need to name. It does not make sense
No,
to name just all of them. I think just with the description that they have to put in the homeworks, right?
Yeah, it's easy. The first 4 are going to be working on just focusing on the object. So
to learn how to keep the object.
And so you're still going to have big agitation, big busy mind, and big dull mind, right? Gross agitation, gross dullness. And what does gross agitation look like? Gross agitation is when your mind's jumping off of something. You can actually still be focusing on your breath, but it's like it's distracted. It's you haven't lost your breath, but there's lots of other thoughts jumping around in your mind. Dullness, gross dullness is when you're sleepy and you've lost the clarity of the object. Subtle dullness is that's a lot more difficult to figure out. Subtle dullness is you've got the object, you're focused on it, but you're kind of like zoned out. You're not really, your mind doesn't have the clarity and the ability to analyze things. Subtle agitation, well, that's when the majority of your mind is focused on the object. It's focused on the breath. You're maybe 90% on the breath, but they say it's like, and it's a really good description, it's like water running underneath ice on a river. You can imagine like a creek that's frozen over, and you can walk on top of the ice, but there's water running underneath it, and that's subtle agitation. You're mostly focused on the object, but then there's still this like low-level thoughts that are running underneath.
Okay, then let's describe it by stage, right?
Yeah.
So first stage is just we learn how to place the mind on the object. You get instructions, you have the object, and then you can keep it, but very briefly. This is Sam Jokpa. Second is when Bill told you that there is some little bit of continuity, like you are able to focus briefly. I don't like Geshe Michael's metaphor for it, but this is very traditional, unfortunately, like a fly over a piece of
with the buttons, right?
Over some excrements,
If
it just flies, then boom, then flies again. This is the second stage.
If you've been to India and had to walk on the streets, you know why they use this as an example.
Yeah, so it's Gyundu Jokpa, and it's placing mind on the object with some continuity. They say that, by the way, the length is not that brief. They say that it's one round of short mantras on the rosary. So it's like probably still like 20, 30 seconds or something, right? Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum or something.
It definitely depends upon what mantra you're doing.
Short. They specifically say short mantra. Probably less than a minute, 30 seconds or something like that. And you are constantly in gross agitation, gross dullness. Then third stage, Lente Jokpa. This is when your time on the object increases. They call it mind is on the object and you are patching the gaps. So it's like you space out at some point, but then you go back. Also both not subtle, but gross agitation, gross dullness, everything. Then fourth is what Bill told you, that for the first time, you do not lose the object. You have everything in your mind, except you don't really lose it. Placing the mind on the object closely.
I think one of the things that's surprising for people, you've got a pretty good level of focus once you've reached level 4, to not lose the object, right? Most particularly now with phones, people have a hard time going a minute without losing the object. And so here, you could sit for half an hour without losing it. The thing that's surprising when you get there at this level is how much agitation and how much dullness you can still have and not lose the object. You can be pretty, frankly, pretty distracted. You haven't lost the object, but there's still a lot of stuff going on in your head here.
Yeah, and the name is Never Jokpa, by the way. And Geshe Michael says that if a modern person is able to get focused even for 3 minutes, even at stage 4, they are like the most genius innovators in this world. Like they are able to create something like an iPhone or something. So it's not that low, actually. Even Bill is, with his experience, he's like, level 4. No, it's level 4.
Well, to be honest, I don't think it's that powerful, honestly.
You can talk to Geshe. Bill, we have like 99% of our fights over the Dharma subjects. And the way he fights me now is he knows that I will not believe the words. So he says something and he says, minute 45 or like page 127.
Yeah, show her the quotes. I got my pile of ammunition that I stocked up for our Dharma battles.
Yeah, I need to learn from you. So level 5 is actually pretty cool, because this is the first time you have this amazing feeling that you kind of a little bit start to control your mind. You develop this watchfulness up to the degree you are able to see the subtle dullness. So you don't have the gross dullness anymore, but the subtle dullness, like you are holding. Okay, I cannot hold really that this way, this cup, but like it's like you're holding it, but not firmly. It's not, you don't have that clear focus, as Bill described.
Gross dullness is, remember when you were in high school, you were a teenager in high school, and you had lunch, and then you had to go to your least favorite class afterwards, and you're sitting there and you're like, you're not, the teacher's words are just like washing over you. You know, you're not thinking about anything else. You're barely awake. You know, and that's gross dullness, right? Like you're hearing the words, but you're not understanding any of them, right? And you're not even thinking about anything else. It's just and that's gross dullness.
Can I show physically how the gross dullness looks like when you meditate? Okay, I will show you. Okay, happened to me hundreds of times. This is how it looks like.
Yeah. Well, right before you fall asleep is the gross dullness. Like, oh, yep, that's it. That's it.
Okay, so you don't have it at level 5 anymore, and it's called Dulvar Jepa, by the way, the level 5. So level 6, even more cool, pacifying the mind, Shivar Jepa, like peaceful mind, first time. So what you lose by that time? You lose the gross agitation, basically, right?
Yeah.
So you lost gross dullness at level 5. You lose gross agitation at level 6. So it's a pretty good meditation, right? If you will think about your watchfulness is so powerful that you detect even subtle dullness, subtle agitation, and sudden agitation happens because you are overdoing something, and you are actually at the previous stage when you fight dullness, then you uplift your mind, right? There are we taught you how you can do it.
So
and you do correction basically, right?
Yeah, gross agitation. So if you were counting your breaths, right? You're counting, you're not losing the count, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you're able to keep doing that. But then you have a whole lot of other thoughts going on while you're counting your breath. It's really amazing. It can actually like fade to the background. You're still counting your breaths, but you're thinking about lots of other things on top of it. That's gross agitation. When the majority of your thoughts are still on something else, but you haven't lost count, right? It's kind of crazy that you can do it. That's gross agitation. And when you bring the object of your focus above the agitation, well, that's subtle agitation that's below it. And it's something you get it, like you start to gain control of this simply by practicing it, right? Like you're aware that you've done it. You're like, oh, okay. It started if this is your breath and it started sinking below the agitation, and then you bring it back. And every time you bring it back, you're getting a little bit stronger at being able to do it. It's just that simple, right? And then I think part of the trick too is when these things happen, you're gonna lose focus, right? Don't beat yourself up about it. Don't turn it into a negative exercise. Like, I can't believe I didn't keep focus. Well, you're not supposed to at this point. It's unrealistic. Like, be happy. Don't be upset that you lost focus. Be happy that you recognize that you lost focus and bring it back, right? Like positive reinforcement will work better here.
Okay, so level 6, basically, the dullness is no longer a problem. Even subtle dullness, it's not no longer a big problem here. Well, you still have subtle agitation.
Great danger of subtle dullness. You can still have subtle dullness here. There's not a great danger. You're getting control of it.
Yeah. You still have it, but you can fight it already. 7, specifying the mind totally. Number Shivar Jepamala.
Yeah, when you get to 7, like you're really starting to cook. Like it's pretty cool. your mind's pretty powerful here. And neat things are starting to happen. Like you're starting to, like, you're carrying it with you a bit off the cushion. Like you can read books, you can understand textbooks better. It it's starting to be like you're enjoying focusing at this point. You're really starting to get some control over your mind.
Mm-hmm. Pacifying the mind totally, they call it. So what else? Like they also say that you are not afraid anymore, neither of dullness nor of agitation, and you are like it's like you would have enemies and you would run away from them. Then at this point, you are not afraid of them anymore. You're like, okay, come on, like, I will fight you. Yeah.
I would say that this is probably like you probably see, you know, you hear stories of mathematicians or scientists or people who were focusing, and then they'll be just so locked in on their project that people will walk in and they won't know it, and then they'll walk out, and you know the person's never really. I mean that they're not in a formal meditation, but they're reading a book. Or people would talk about Einstein would be so focused on a problem that he would put on his jacket and the hanger would still be in the coat, right? You know, and he would walk out with the hanger still in the coat because he's so focused. He doesn't even really know what he's not aware of his surroundings. And it's you can drop your surroundings out to a really dramatic degree.
And it's not true that smart or genius people, they are distractful. They are too focused on something or on one thing. This is why they don't care about other things.
Yeah, they call it like the absent-minded professor, right? In English, that professor forgets things.
Yeah.
It's not that they're forgetting things, it's that they're focused on one thing and not taking care of more conventional stuff that people think that they should be. And so
okay, my love, then next two, only you can describe it.
Yeah, 8. Okay, so you sit down and it takes some effort to get over your subtle agitation and subtle dullness, and then you slip into this ability to focus. And this is cool. There's like your body doesn't hurt anymore. Like you're totally unaware of your body. Like I mean, it takes you maybe 15 minutes after you sit down to kind of like to settle down into it. But your body doesn't hurt. You're not aware of the outside world, but you can really, really focus. It's
pleasant.
Yeah, there can be a bliss that comes with it. The bliss can actually be distracting. You get excited. You're like, oh my gosh, this feels great. And then you're off on, you know, then you lose it because you get distracted by the bliss. And actually they call it physical pliancy, which happens much earlier, where you can sit for, I mean, there were people I've known who could sit for 12 hours a day happily. I was never able to get that far, but and then there's a mental pliancy where, well, now you had to sit down.
How to say pliancy in a different way?
You can use it, right? Like you're not being tortured by, you're not being bothered by the agitation or dullness. Like pliancy's flexibility, but it's more like you've gotten control of your mind. Like you can actually direct it wherever you want to and hold it there. And so, you know, initially, like you'll probably be focusing on your breath as a way to develop shamatha. It's just an exercise. It's not an end into itself. And so you're focusing, and at this stage, you can move off that to whatever else you want to. I mean, it's powerful. You can really focus on what you want to. And then you're really, really carrying this with you off the cushion. And now it's not as developed. In level 9, you sit down and instantly go into the ability to focus, and you don't have to apply any efforts. And at that stage, yeah, you're really carrying it with you off the cushion. Like you can sit down and, I mean, frankly, if you want to read a book for 12 hours straight, like that's like you could read it 12 hours straight, retain it all. It's 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 really powerful, and it's really, really helpful. Like when you're analyzing things, like all of these chi chedrak, right? Quality and characteristics, and like you're trying to look at your world and the way it is. And at this level, that's where it's really helpful. You're really able to, a lot of the ideas that have been in the ACI courses that are difficult, or there were subtleties that you missed, all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay. Well, they said that here and they said that here. And this is off the cushion. Once you've reached shamatha, you're holding it. You've got, call it samadhi, when you get off the cushion and you're still able to really, really focus. But when you're on the cushion, yeah, you've gotten control over your mind. Total clarity. It's
Cool.
it's cool. It's possible. Thousands of people have done it. Thousands.
Yes.
It's not that rare. And compared to having the direct perception of emptiness, it's it's pretty basic. It really, you just have to rearrange your life to do it. You have to want to do it, really.
Okay, so Tibetanists say chik to jepa, right? And we have one more. So the 8 is single pointedness. You reached single pointedness where you don't have subtle agitation or subtle dullness anymore. And you need just a little bit of effort to get into this meditation in the beginning of the session. And the level 9 is called deep meditation or achieving equilibrium.
And again, realistically, to achieve this without going into retreat, 2 hours of meditation a day and quiet, peaceful weekends where you're restoring your energy and not distracted. But that's what it takes. 2 hours of good meditation. Doesn't help if you're exhausted and stressed out.
You're sleeping enough, you're eating good food, right?
Which, I mean, to
You're
be
not
fair,
stressed out.
to be fair, can be hard to do in the outside world.
Yeah, can be hard to do. But Ken Rinpoche was meditating no problem every day. His life was arranged around around it, and this is why he could have shamatha. And also we have somebody that we met several months ago, who was his nephew, Geshe Lotter, who was a great meditator. And how you can tell, even you didn't know Geshe Lotter, today is the day 9. He is in his post-mortem meditation called Tugdam, and only very high level practitioners can really make it after they die. I mean, he is still in the process of dying, right? Just it kind of stopped for a time, for a moment, because according to Western medicine, he is dead. He doesn't have breathing. His heart does not beat, but his body is still does not have the advanced signs of death, right? Does not smell bad, no.
His body isn't decaying yet.
Yeah. So, and it means that he had shamatha, and he succeeded to get into a postmortem meditation called Tugdam, when his basic elements were declining, where he went through the stages, 8 stages, and now he's in direct perception of emptiness. This is what it means.
It's been documented scientifically. This is it's interesting because you hear about it like, oh, one of the Dalai Lamas or this famous person had it 100 years ago.
1,000.
1,000 years ago or whatever. Yeah. And then here is, a monk that we honestly, outside of Geshe Michael's group of students, nobody knows who he is. But yet he's doing it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That was us last fall when we were in India. That's him. He spent 4 hours every morning doing prayers and meditation. So he's a monk, didn't have to work for a living. We'd see him in the afternoon and he'd be sitting on the balcony counting mantras. But yeah, he was spending 4 hours every morning in practice.
Not only meditating, right? Because
he would have been reciting prayers.
Have many things, but including. Okay, so that's it. Nyampa Jokpa, the last meditation stage, deep meditation. The next question is 3 different types of meditation. Question number 13. You want to do it?
Yeah, fixation, review, and analytical. So fixation, most people, that's where you're going to use just focusing on the breath, right? That's you're trying to develop shamatha. And it's helpful to have a simple object that you don't lose. And so you're just developing your ability to focus with fixation meditation. That's it, as simple as that. And I don't know why they call it Shargom and Chegom first. You might know that. But analytical meditation is where you're going to take some kind of problem and then think about it. Well, do things really start or stop, right? Like the Nagarjuna question. And so, you can sit there and think, well, do things start and stop? Or how would they start and stop? And then so you can kind of analyze that problem. It's tricky, right? And so that's analytical meditation when you start looking at issues like that. And then review meditation is where you're just memorizing things. You've already probably done some kind of analytical meditation on each of the points, and you're just going through, okay, the 7 steps of Maitreyas for achieving bodhicitta, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, and then you can go backwards, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then you're just solidifying your knowledge of it. And
basically what you do, you burn this this new idea in your mind, and in a way the next time you need it, it is available for you like instantly, right away.
Yeah.
Shargom.
Yeah, and your memory gets dramatically better when you start getting the ability to focus.
Yeah, and fixation meditation in our lineage, we always say that the best object would be, prison is an exercise, but basically, if you know the golden room meditation in our lineage, right, the face of your teacher will be one of the basic ones, but one of the most powerful ones. And this is also a type of jogom, fixation meditation, which you need to develop very high level fixation meditation to see emptiness directly, basically level 9, right? Next. Okay, we are done with meditation. Now we have still some questions about Lamrim. So give the meaning of the word Lamrim, because remember ACI 3 consists of 2 parts. We study meditation, and then second part we study Lamrim, and it's a very cool Lamrim to study. So the word Lamrim, where does it come from? That's an easy question, right? Because in Tibetan, Lamrim, what it means means the steps on the path to enlightenment, but the name comes from the scriptures on the perfection of wisdom from Prajnaparamita. This is where you have it for the first time. And Lam Rim, steps on the path in Tibetan. That's the word.
Which I think the interesting thing about that, steps on the path to enlightenment, is that's there's actually a path, right? Like they're literally, okay, well, do this, do that, do that. This is the way out. There really are clear steps, right?
Mm-hmm.
5 of them.
Like IKEA furniture algorithm. You do 1, you do 2, you do 3, and hopefully you get
yeah, right.
the furniture. I mean, it's better than IKEA, of course.
It's better, yeah. At some point you're happy to throw away your IKEA furniture. Yeah, I don't think, like hopefully when you achieve the steps on the path, you want to keep them.
Okay.
Please come take my crappy furniture.
That's renunciation, my love. That's please take my samsara. Okay, so the next question in the final is actually tricky because, boy, I remember it was not clear to me at all about those 5 books. So which of the 5 great texts, which actually consist the basic knowledge that we study in 18 ACI courses, which of these 5 great texts and the different level of secret practice are contained in this Lamrim that we study? So guess what? All of them, right? All the texts are mentioned. What are those texts? Probably we should talk about it in a little bit more details. So by the way, we didn't we didn't mention that the text, the Lamrim text that we study here is a very famous Source of All My Good by Jetsun Kappa. He wrote it at Radrian Monastery because obviously he could not meet Lord Atisha who stayed at that monastery because it was like 300-400 years later. But he strongly would feel that he was his spiritual father. He did a retreat there, and he has written this very famous, very beautiful text, one of my favorite books in Tibetan, The Source of All My Good, there at the feet of the statue of Lord Atisha at Radrian. So, and this is a very short text, like couple pages long, right? And guess what? In this text, he succeeded to mention all the subjects, all the main subjects of these open teachings, which are those 5 books. And also he mentioned secret teachings. What are the 5 books? First, Prajnaparamita, Perfection of Wisdom. Perfection of Wisdom is a lower part of the middle way, right? Then middle way, Madhyamika. Then Vinaya, vowed morality. Abhidharma, the higher knowledge. And Vinaya and Abhidharma, this is related to lower schools. And one more lower school is logic and perception, Pramana. So Lamrim is an open teaching text, but he mentions also, he succeeded in this very short poem, he succeeded to mention secret practices, not in details, just mentioned.
This is something that I was thinking about. Yesterday we had a class where we were just answering people's questions, just general questions. And one of the people was talking about it was taking too long, right? Like they were working and they weren't getting their results fast enough. And that's what the secret teachings, the advanced teachings are about, right? Getting results quickly. If you're working with the sutra level classes, that's 3 great eons to get enlightened, right? And if you're just working at that level, but at the advanced ones, you're supposed to be. I can't see that. What is it? Oh, really? Just finished.
Just
Okay.
finished.
Okay.
Okay, we have a news about Geshe Lothar. He has just finished his 9-day Tugdam meditation. 9 days. I'm not sure there were people like him this century. So they'll cremate his body on Tuesday.
So just now, during class.
Just
one of our friends is there with him.
Yeah.
He's doing okay.
I'm not worried about Geshe Lothar at all. And honestly, I'm sure we will meet him again.
I'm not worried about him.
We definitely have a very strong connection.
Yeah. I guess auspicious that we're sitting here talking about him and having a class, and he passed just now.
Mm-hmm.
So, so advanced teachings, how to do it quickly. That's what the whole point of the advanced teachings are. It's how to make things happen fast. So if you're frustrated with the pace that things are going, do the 18 ACI courses, learn about karma and emptiness, get a good solid knowledge of it. Keep your morality, which treat other people with kindness, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then move on. And then they will give you the tools to make things happen quickly. That's the whole thing with the advanced teachings. You just speed it up. And frankly, you
want to be completely honest?
I'm going to be completely honest. It speeds up all of your karma, not just the good stuff, which is part of the reason why it's kind of advanced. You don't want to, like, good and bad stuff happens fast. And so so you want to have more good stuff than bad stuff when it happens. Otherwise, it's like lighting a rocket off pointed in the wrong direction. You don't want to go there. So.
Okay, and actually the next question is really about how to get there, right? And strange enough, you will get into secret teachings and you will think, okay, now they will tell me something like sexy, and what they tell you is what we will have, what is the answer for the next question. So you start with Lamrim and the main parts of Lamrim, and there are 4 of them. First, guess what? The root of the path is to find your teacher. How to find your teacher?
Yeah, that's a tricky one. Right. That's like the very beginning. The source of all my good is my kind Lama, my Lord. Bless me first to see that taking myself to them in the proper way is the very root of the path, and then grant me to serve and follow them with all my strength and reverence. Right. Mm-hmm. And so, it's a tricky thing with lamas. Be careful. Take some time.
Be careful. Second is how to practice and purify your mind after you have met your Lama, because I have just done a masterclass on relationship, and basically I told them the same, that people, they have weird ideas coming from the movies, probably Hollywood movies, that they met each other and then they were happy forever and ever. But what in reality happens, you meet your partner or your teacher, and then you have to continue to work on your mind, because your old seeds will continue ripening. And at some point you will have an impression, oh, maybe that's a wrong teacher. Oh, maybe that's a wrong partner. Oh, I will go shop somebody else, right? And people, they are changing. I have seen people changing their teachers every 2-3 years. Not good enough anymore, not good enough anymore. Or boy, all these teachers are such a disappointment, one after another one, then maybe it's time to stop and ask yourself, if you do not see people teaching you as teachers, why? And then maybe fix it. So once you told somebody, okay, please be my teacher, if you made the request, then since this moment, there is a practice. There are steps described in the Islam Rim, how to purify your mind and how to behave.
And then you'll almost certainly have more than one teacher, right? There will be teachers that will teach you scripture, teachers that might teach you meditation, teachers that can teach you on a practical level, and
maybe different teachers for secret teachings,
and
because your karma may change.
And I think for many people, they'll find that their partner, right, is their teacher. And frankly, it makes it a heck of a lot more convenient. It was wearing me out traveling to Arizona. Just create your partner here. Now the problem then is you wake up in the morning and the lessons start as soon as you wake up. No, it's actually it's a very pleasant way to live a life to have, and then that's a true spiritual partner, right? Somebody who's helping you reach enlightenment.
Yeah. Okay. Then part number 3 is requesting help in your practice. How you request blessings and help. And part number 4 is you make a prayer to meet teachers and to achieve your goals.
Gada Lagyama, major milestone in my life, right? And the prayers can work fast and be powerful, and you can bring real teachers into your life, and not just people who've read books, but people who've actually can help you move through the path.
And I remember I was going through these lists in ACI. I was like, what is this? Like 4 parts of how to take yourself to your Lama, like develop faith and admiration, how to think of your Lama, how to act towards your Lama, how develop respect to your Lama. I was like, who cares? Like, why it matters? But the farther you go, the more you understand, oh my God, boy, I'm fortunate that I have somebody has written down, like step by step how I can avoid making huge mistakes towards very high karmic objects. Because this is why there are all these steps, because if you don't know, you can really hurt yourself.
You should be skeptical about teachers, right? Should take your time. 12 years isn't too long. And how do you know you found a good teacher?
They also need to have qualities, right?
Yeah, there's a long list of qualities, but basically, they should be serving more than they're being served. They should be taking care of other people more than they're being taken care of. And if they aren't, be wary. probably need to keep looking.
And then in Lamrim, you get to the point, it was very eye-opening to me, the 8 leisures and 10 fortunes, very famous in Buddhist literature. And people also, like, they do not appreciate the meaning of it, because there is almost no possibility to compare, like, how it would feel without it. If you didn't do analytical meditations, like, I really recommend to get this one for a while, because at some point you will have this breakthrough. You will realize that the place you are right now is unbelievable. It's very rare, almost non-existing. It will end up soon, and you really need to do something about it. Like the presence of Dharma, of these teachings that are still working on the planet where you are allowed to practice these steps. Nobody is killing you because of it. Like all of that, just being human, it's amazing. But we will not be going through all of them. Please make sure you know in class 9 these things, legions and fortune.
Yeah, I think the extraordinary thing is how this wisdom has been packaged in a way that's easy or relatively easy to understand and to dig your way through. And it's not like you're walking into a Tibetan monastery where there's, an enormous wall filled with cloth wrapped text, none of which you can read, trying to figure out how to get enlightened looking at that, right? I mean, you've seen the walls in the monasteries where all the texts are wrapped. And it's
even if it's in a Western type book, you still have to know Tibetan, right?
Yeah, and
even the monks of our house, seventh house of Serame, Gelrong, seventh house of Gelrong of Serame, all of them, they speak English, almost all of them, but it's not enough. They speak English, but the words they use, it's not their native language. I'm not even talking that most of us do not speak English. But even they speak English, you speak English. It's very difficult to understand what they mean if Geshe Michael didn't give you these teachings in an easier to digest format for Westerners, which is ACI.
Yeah.
We would not be able to understand what they mean. We had classes on debates, and it was difficult. And the only way we were able to still get what he was teaching us is because of ACI courses. Okay, so once somebody understood the leisure and fortune, right? What to do with it, right? And they say you should learn the 3 parts to the subject of taking the essence of this life. And all of that, like, I know it requires some meditation on it, but it's actually very profound because it is about steps that are shared with people with lesser capacities. Mainly, it's the death meditation and laws of karma, right? Steps shared with people of medium capacity. I think it's the wheel of life mainly, right? And steps shared with people of great capacity. So
lesser capacity people are working for next life. They just want a better human rebirth, right?
Oh, just human, not less than a human.
Yeah, not less than human, right? They just don't want to come back in one of the more intense suffering rebirths.
Horrible.
And then people of middle capacity are working to get themselves out of samsara, right? Out of the wheel of life, the wheel of suffering. And then people of great capacity are working to get every living being out.
So, and when you start working with the lesser capacities, basically, it's not that you become a lesser capacity person. Just there are some practices that are practiced both. If you want to be a human and if you want to be better than a human, right? Leave the cycle of suffering and become an enlightened being. And you start with the death meditation. Why? Because you need motivation. And 3 principles of the death meditation, the next question, are the following. Nyevarchiva namchingeme chitse chumatok mipen.
Archelka Nivachi.
That's certain. Almost.
Almost.
Varchalka will die. She doesn't know when, and when she will, only these teachings will help her. I mean, death is certain. There is no certainty. We don't know when we die. It's not everywhere like that. There are worlds where people, they know the exact time and date. But in our reality, we don't know. And when we die, only the teachings make difference, nothing else. We cannot take, like, even into our dream. I remember I was like 4 or 5 years old, and I tried to get something out of my dream. You know, I would dream about some cool toy or something, and I would really make efforts to get it out, you know, in the physical world. And I was totally frustrated.
And to be fair, this is why I went into 3-year retreat. It's like, well, you know, why would you leave your career? Why would you, you know, leave everything in your life? You know, you have people to take care of. You know, why are you going? Well, you know, those 3 reasons, right? Death is certain. The time of death is uncertain, and only the Dharma is going to help you afterwards. And that's not just. It's not just for me. Also, right? It's, well, you know, how can you help somebody else? You know, you got to figure out how to solve the problem, and then share it with people.
Okay, next question. So within the same different capacities people, right? All of them, they study 4 laws of karma. So this is something that is also shared. What are the 4 laws of karma? The action produces consequences that are similar to the action first. So good leads to good, bad leads to bad. And how we know it? If we did something useful for another person, we will get a good result. If we were thinking that it's something harmful, we will get a bad result. Liangyepa. Second, consequences are greater than the action, seeds are growing. Lepelcheva. Third, if there was no action, there will be no result. Don't hurt other people, you will not suffer, right? Lema Jepa Tan Mitrepa, very famous. And the last one, if there was an action, consequences are unavoidable.
It's interesting for people with a Christian background. There's direct statements by Jesus for each one of these 4, where he's clearly saying that each one of these 4 things apply, because he understood the mind.
Yeah. Okay. Tibetan Jepuchu Misawa for the last one. Then the next question is, state briefly the difference between Buddhist of lesser, medium, and greater capacity, which we have done already. It's when Bill told you that are you working for to stay human, to quit the whole this washing machine cycle overall, samsara, or to become an enlightened being for everybody else. These are the 3 levels, right? Next one. Do you think it is true that every event in our present kind of life is suffering? Why or why not? What do you think?
People, well, if everything is suffering, why do people pay so much to go to fancy dinners? See, I think I just proved that everything isn't suffering. People are rational. They spend their money for rational things.
Yeah, basically, the answer of this question, if you understand 3 kinds of sufferings, right? First is maybe you don't have any direct pain right now. Maybe you don't have any bad diagnosis, or You don't suffer out of bad relationship, or like your body is not in pain right now. That is called suffering of suffering, right? There is another suffering of change. Like, I enjoy our relationship. If we still have these bodies made of meat, we have to lose each other, you know?
Mm.
It's not that it's not pleasant, it's crazy pleasant, but inevitably it will change. Everything good I have will disappear. That's the nature of this world. And the third one is wherever you are, like any of 6 realms of this of possible 6 realms, anything bad can happen at any time. All pervasive suffering.
Because you're going to lose it, right? Like you're going to die. So
and any kind of pain can happen anytime also,
yeah.
right?
So it's okay. Suffering, like plain pain. First one. Things change. Nothing lasts, and then you're going to die and lose it all. Those 3 things. And people the food issue. I remember in college talking about it, and there, with food particularly, because I like to eat, and it the argument goes, well,
Fortunately, you also love to cook.
yeah, for other people too, and the argument would go, well, okay, you sit down. And okay, maybe the first bite of your dinner tastes good, but then, somewhere along the way it changes, and if you keep eating, it'll just make you sick, right? So that's the suffering of change, right? And then people would argue, well, if the goodness was in it, every bite would bring pleasure. And none of that was really, frankly, all that motivating for me, because if you're hungry, okay, and then people would argue, well, you have to have the suffering of hunger before you can solve the hunger, right? And even that didn't do it all that much for me, because I still enjoy eating, right? It's fun to sit down with your friends. But then what finally did it for me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know.
But what finally, like 25 years later, it's like, well, people go, well, Geshe, don't you like eating? He goes, yeah, I don't like pooping. Like, oh, okay, well, that one's hard to argue with, right? Like it's okay. Well, it's true, right?
It's true.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's like every day, right? 3 times a day. It's just
Точно.
you eat, and it's just
Eat 3 times probably.
people. It's so wrapped up in us that we don't even like talking about it, right? It's like, oh, I can't believe he said that, right? I can't believe he said that we have to poop, right? It's like, well, yeah, we have to poop.
Very shameful.
So,
Some kind.
I mean,
why?
Certainly wouldn't be part of my heaven if I could if I could design heaven any way I wanted. It toilets wouldn't be necessary.
Yeah, like there was this movie Lucifer, right? And his mom, who was the goddess, she took on a human's body, and then she said, "You know what these bodies do?"
Yeah, right.
Implying.
So yeah, so what's the best thing you can do? It's like Trump has a golden toilet. That's as good as it gets.
Yeah.
Okay, I can't say his name.
Okay. That's I mean,
suffering,
also other politicians, right? You cannot go beyond your physical nature anyway, right? Whatever you do. Okay, so of the 3 trainings, why in this text they mention only morality? There is a question about it. The next one is the question. And here, I mean, they could mention all 3 of them, right? The training of morality, then meditation and wisdom. So why sometimes they abbreviate? Why sometimes they mention just training of ethics and they do not mention the other ones? Because concentration and wisdom are based on morality. So the other 2 trainings, they are implied because they follow the morality. And if there is no morality, cannot be meditation, cannot be wisdom, cannot be, wisdom, emptiness training. Next question. You're good?
Okay.
Give two parts to the steps of the path which are shared with practitioners of the greater scope. So it's funny because when you study these things, you think like, who could ever have such a question? First, you are learning how to think like a bodhisattva, and then to act like a bodhisattva. Two different things, apparently, right? That bring different results, different power to the results. And these are the steps shared with the greater scope. I think only one left, my love. Let me see. No, two questions left. And both questions are very important. And every ACI student hate them. Mm-hmm. Because these are two definitions that we have to learn by heart. And first is the definition of quietude, or shamatha in Sanskrit, shine in Tibetan. And I'm not sure Geshe Michael translates, is it quietude? Maybe quietude.
No, quietude was an early, came out of the academic world. Everybody I knew just called it shamatha.
That's probably right.
Yeah, but but Ting and Zen could be single point of concentration, and that's short of quietude. Okay. Everybody I knew just called it shamatha. Quietude was, frankly, an early academic translation that is awkward and does not meet the Waiter test, right?
No, it's not clear what they mean. Shine in Tibetan, shamatha on Sanskrit, and this is one of the definitions that you really have to study. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know. So, quietude or shamatha is the simple-mindedness imbued with exceptional bliss of practiced ease due to deep single-pointed meditation on the object. Will be easier for you if you will understand how many parts there are in this definition, but it is extremely important because there is every single word means something here. Single-pointed or single-minded meditation imbued with exceptional bliss of practiced ease due to deep single-pointed meditation on its object. Anything to add? How important was this definition for you in your 3-year retreat?
Well, you spend a lot of time studying the different 9 levels, right? And like really thinking about what happens at each one as you go up through it. So, watching your own mind.
So, and why do we need, so you see, we did meditation, then we did some lamrim. And why is it in the same course? Because Geshe Michael wanted to show to us that the tool that will help you to reach the goal of lamrim is meditation. So the last questions usually in the course are the most important ones because he was building up to something, and he built up to shamatha definition and vipassana definition. So you need to meditate in order to get the insight of this in this meditation, vipassana or hlakton in Tibetan. And this is the last question on this final exam. Give the definition of the insight. And I think personally, insight is a good translation for the vipassana.
Yeah, this one, the insight's a much better translation.
Yeah. So what does it mean, the insight or vipassana? It's a wisdom full of exceptional bliss because of it is practice. Wisdom full of exceptional bliss of practiced ease by the power of the analysis of its object, which is founded upon shamatha, 4 parts of the definition. You need shamatha to see emptiness directly. This is what it means.
And it's interesting, bliss, right? So everything in samsara is suffering. And then at this point, okay, well, now you've meditated, you've frankly withdrawn your mind deeply inside of yourself. You're not engaged with the outside world. And then you're having this direct perception of emptiness. And all of those mental labels that you've been using constantly to create samsara for yourself, it stopped for the first time ever. It stopped. And then what's left is a lack of suffering and the bliss that comes with it, right? And so that's why exceptional bliss, right? You're finally outside of samsara, and that's why
For a while.
For a while, yeah, for 20 minutes, right? And that's where the bliss is coming in. It's you finally, and people realize that when they come back out. People have had the experience say that you come back out and you realize that everything you've ever done before there was something negative, something selfish about it, and that you realize that everything that's the first Arya truth, right? That life is suffering, and so you realize that because for 20 minutes you weren't suffering. Okay, well, that's the exceptional bliss, right? And they said it would be exceptional.
We want to believe.
Yeah.
That was it. That was the class, the second half of the final exam on course 3 class.
Very, very auspicious that we were blessed with the final passing of Geshe Lothar during the class. I think that was significant.
And we have asked our technical team and administrators to post a story wrote by Geshe Michael about Geshe Lothar. And there is a QR code and the link where you can send even a little bit, even something. You probably want to have the karma of sending some money. We will offer, we paid part of Geshe Lothar's bill for the hospital. He was at the hospital. It happened suddenly. Nobody was expecting, and was probably a heart attack. It looks like that. So we paid part of his bill, and Geshe Michael is collecting for a big puja, like big lama, big puja, right? So you probably want to get your fingers into this pie, right? You probably want to send something because it's extremely auspicious.
Yeah, send a few dollars. There's like a processing fee. I think it was like $2. So
no, $1 or something.
$1 or $2. So
don't send $1.
You don't send $1 because it was we were talking with one of the
JB.
Yeah, JB, and so they were getting all of these $1. It was costing them more to process it than what people were sending. So at least send like $2 or $3, right? So it doesn't cost them money to process it. But if that's all you've got, send 2 or 3.
Or you can get together with somebody else and collect like $100, $200, and then somebody can send it.
Yeah, because it cost the same to process. I think $100 is what it did, $2, and so I thought it was like $1.70 per transaction or something. And so they were, getting hundreds of $1 donations.
ALL had to pay for donations.
Which they did because they served people, right? But
yeah, and also I was thinking it's important to say that Geshe Michael wants to create a new organization who will be taking care of sick people. I'm not sure how it will look like exactly, but this is like the core group of these people. Somehow I am also on the emails list. Probably he wants me to also to be in this group. And they take care now of this collection. So there is a link, and you can send your money if you want. If you're grateful for us, send your money there, okay? Thank you very much, translators, technical team, coordinators. Please never leave us. We love you. If you need anything, please let us know. If we can help you, let us know. Otherwise, we will see each other at ACI 6 in June. I'm looking. Okay, no other questions. I think there were too many in the class.
It's okay. We've been an hour and a half. People are tired.
We're also tired, and I'm still not done today, but close.
Meditation, super powerful and possible. It's if you live the kind of life that supports it, you can do it.
Thank you. See you in June or in other projects.